Fine. So we have discussed till data pre-processing. Okay, how the data is pre-processed to before it was fed into the model. Okay, there are so many steps we do to pre-process the data before it was fed into the before it was taken as an input into the model. Fine. So after that, we are going to see the machine learning, the whole machine learning pipeline. Okay. So as you can see here, the main four stages are, okay, as you can see, the first, this business goal. Okay. So four main stages we do in this machine learning pipeline. Okay, machine learning pipeline. The main four stages are business goal analysis. And the second stage is data preparation. Okay, that is data pre-processing. And the third stage is model training. And the fourth one is deployment stage. Okay, so the four main stages of machine learning pipeline is analyzing the business goal and then moving on to the data preparation, data pre-processing, and then we have the third stage as model training, fourth stage as deployment. So in today's class, we are going to see all these four stages, including the sub-stages inside the main stage one by one. Fine. So already in the class, we have discussed about what is this business goal analysis. So there are six, okay, as you can see here, there are six multitask has to be done before we start to do the data preparation. Fine. So we have to define the objective, collect ingesting data, that is collecting data from all the different sources. Fine. In order to make the model to do the prediction very correctly, even if I provide, okay, even if I provide any different data related to the application, that model should able to do the prediction. The model should able to do that to make the decision. So it has to be all the data, all the possible data has to be collected. Okay, all the possible data has to be collected for preparing the, for making the model. So these are all the sub stages or step tasks we have to consider for this business goal. Moving on to data preparation, these are all the things that we have learned in the yesterday's class. Find data source, collect in, again we have this raw data collection in data preparation. EDA, that is exploratory data analysis. We have to explore and analyze the data before choosing the features from the collected raw data set. It has to be analyzed properly. That what we call it as EDA, exploratory data analysis. We have to do the data quality, label quality, and then we have to handle clean, meaning missing values. We have to clean the data in case if it has any errors or formatting problem or duplicates. So all the sub stages we have to do for preparing the data. Moving on to the model training. Model training, at the third stage we have to do the we have to train the model. Now the data is ready to take as an input for the model, to give us an input for the model. What the model has to do, see, all the models, whenever a developer has used a model for the data, they will take the best algorithm to train the model with the data set. They will always consider the best model. Okay, any human being will always take the best data, best algorithm, right? So the developer, what they will do, they will always choose the best algorithm to train the data set to create the model. So before applying the, see, all the best model will be definitely a complicated one. So before applying the complex algorithm, what they will do, they will check the data set with the baseline model. Okay, if I have a, say for example, if recently or YOLO V11 and the version, so many versions are introduced for YOLO algorithm. Okay, so 10 years or 5 or 2 years before, we have used only YOLO V8 or YOLO V5. Now they have introduced YOLO V11. Fine. So see, before I applying the highest, the latest algorithm, what I will do, I will use the very base algorithm of YOLO for my collected data set, okay, and check whether it will give the best performance or not. Okay, if there is any issue with the baseline model, I need to correct my data set, okay, in order to provide the better performance with the baseline model first. Okay, if my data set works very well with the baseline model, I will move on to work with the complex model. So that's why we need to have a stage. We need to have a stage like baseline training with the baseline model. After training with the baseline model, I can move on to train the data set. I can move on to train the data with the advanced model, with the complex model. So that's why one of the stages training with the simplest model first, and then moving on to train the chosen ML model. Fine. After the model is trained with the chosen, with the selected algorithm, we need to tune. Okay. After we apply the complex algorithm, after we apply the selected algorithm, we feel like the accuracy is not good. We feel like the performance is not good. Then we have to tune the hyperparameters. So this hyperparameters meaning is we can increase the depth size or batch size or number of epochs. Okay. And the number of times we want to train the data set has to be either it has to be increased or it has to be reduced according to the performance level. Fine. So this hyperparameters tuning will be done in the stage of validation stage. Okay. As I told you, when you split, okay, we'll split the data set into three parts. One is for training the one part of data set, that is 80% of data set will be used to train the model, and the 10% will be used for testing. We have another one 10% that will be used for validating the data set. So what we will do, we will validate the model with the 10% of data set, and we'll check which model works better and giving and providing the better accuracy. And when we check the different kind of models during this validation stage, we tune the hyperparameter settings. Okay, we tune the hyperparameter settings with respect of batch size, number of epochs, or even the learning rate. So different optimizer, we use different optimizer in deep learning algorithm. We need to set the hyperparameter settings during this validation stage to test the model, to validate the model, not test, to validate the model. We check this 10% of data set during this validation stage by tuning the hyperparameters. Okay, so this hyperparametering testing should not be done at the testing stage. It has to be done before the validation stage itself. During testing time, we just test the model to provide, okay, we will just test the model, okay, to check whether it provides higher accuracy or not. This hyperparameter tuning will be done during the stage of validation stage. Fine. So these are all the steps that we do in model training. Moving on to the deployment. Already we know the model will be deployed after it was tested properly. After it was the 10% of data set is tested properly, then the model is ready to deploy it in the real-time application, real-time usage. So deploy it into real use and tracking. So what is this tracking? We need to track every day. We need to monitor every day to check the performance of the model. If there is any issues, if there is any incoming of new data set, then we have to train the model again with a new data set, validate it, and then test it. Then the updated data set has to be deployed in the real-time application. So these are all the stages, different stages of machine learning pipeline. Four main stages of machine learning pipeline, and each stage has different substages, subtasks. Fine. So in your exam, if they have asked you to write the machine learning pipeline, you have to write all these steps. Okay. So when you take the business goal model, we have almost 6 steps. So I have explained with the simple explanation. So what is business research goal? What is ML task type? Okay, we have to select the ML model, whether it can be a classification, regression, or forecasting, or predicting, or in case if you want to use a clustering kind of algorithm. So this, what kind of machine learning algorithm you are going to select to train your model has to be decided before you start to collect the data sets. Fine. So targeting labels. Fine. Whether it is, if in case if I take a if I'm creating an application for spam detection in a mail, okay, I need to I need to I need to know the target label. Target label is nothing but whether it is spam or not spam. If I am doing an application for weather forecasting, I need to have a target label as raining tomorrow, it will rain or not. So I need to know the target label. Fine. So whether this particular feature is having cancerous cell or non-cancerous cell, that the target label is cancer or no cancer, rain or no rain. Fine. Pass or fail. In case if I'm creating an application for student performance, what is the target label? Pass or fail. So these are all the simple steps that we do before we start to develop a model. Okay, before we start to create a model and deploy it in the real usage. Fine. So I have explained all the, you have to measure the algorithm performance with metrics like accuracy, specificity, then F1 score, precision, then recall. In case if you consider regression kind of algorithm for your model, for deploying your model, then you have to take the metrics like MAE, RM. These are all the error these are all the metrics which is used to understand the errors, okay, errors in your data set, in your numbers. And then, so based on the data set, the metrics has to be taken properly to know the performance, all the algorithms performance will be measured with the metrics like accuracy, F1 score, recall, precision, MAE, RMSE. So these are all the metrics which has been used to measure the algorithm's performance. So each thing I have explained. What is collect ingesting data, that is bring all data into one controlled place, that is collecting. Even if I collect different data set, it has to be collected in a one model. I will explain this collection data set with a simple diagram in probably in tomorrow's class. You will understand. Then exploratory data analysis. Whatever data we collect has to be pre-processed, has to be collected properly. Why? Because see, if I want to create an application for a disease prediction, few features, this half of the features should collect from the normal people, and half of the features should collect from the deceased, from the patients, from the deceased people. Then only the model will be able to predict correctly when it is deployed in the real-time application. If I have a data more with the normal people and I have only 10% of data for cancerous cell, how come the model will predict correctly? So the data set that we collect should have proper proposition, fine. So that is exploratory data analysis. Count each class label to see imbalance, and if there is any identifying problems like data leakage. Data leakage means, say for example, if I have a data set which already have a label like cancerous or not cancerous, whether this person is having corona or not corona. If I have this particular column label in my data set, definitely this model will always look into that label and will give you the output. So probably all the developers should avoid a label, a label like the output in the data set. Okay, so it should be avoided when we collect the data set. Before it was fed into the model, it should not, the data set itself should not have the output. It should not have the output. Only the model has to be analyzed and to predict the output. So that what we call it as data leakage, wrong labels, or unrealistic patterns. So everything I will explain with the diagram so that you will understand. So I have given 20 steps, which I have explained now with the diagram. I have given 20 steps. So these are all the steps we follow to deploy the application in real-time usage. So these are all the steps of machine learning machine learning pipeline. The main four stages are business goal, data preparation, model training, and deployment. These are all the four main stages. And as you can see here, the sub stages are included in the main stage. You can see at least six main stages are included in each criteria. So these are all the sub stages that we do before we proceed to the next stage. So the business problem, all the 6 stages has to be completed in the business goal before we start to proceed to data preparation. And then before we start to proceed to model training, to training the model with the data set, some other pre-processing has to be done with the data. We have to check the data quality. We have to check the input label quality. We have to split the data set into training, validation, and testing. We have to explore and analyze the data. There are so many tools available to do the exploratory data analysis. So that has to be done properly before it was sent to the model to before it was sent to the ML algorithm to create the model. And then after we complete doing all the works in data preparation, then the data set can be used as an input to train the model. After the model was trained, it has to be evaluated or validated, okay, by the 10% of validation data set. So what we do in the validation data set, we just tune the hyperparameters, with so many other algorithms and check the performance. If there is any settings needed, extra settings needed to improve the performance, all the corrections, all the settings will be done during this validation stage. When everything is over, then the model can be sent to the testing stage. So in this testing stage, we don't do anything. We don't do any modification. We don't do any tuning settings. All the things have to be done before we test the model. So once we test the models and prove that the model is ready to provide a better performance, then the model will be deployed. And before it was deployed, it has to be checked with so many different data sets. Even if it gives a better performance, then only that model is ready to deploy it in the real-time usage. Once it is deployed in the real-time usage, and it has to be monitored regularly. If there is any update required, with the new data incoming, then the model has to be trained, and then it has to be validated. Then it was tested. It has to be tested before it deployed. Before it deployed again in the real-time usage. So these are all the stages that we do in the machine learning pipeline. So the remaining explanation will be discussed in tomorrow's class.